It's Friday, the 6th of May, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Amyler.
Good morning, Michael.
All right, Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. The first story is a massive one today. Global markets reacted quickly and sharply to the Federal Reserve's decision on interest rates, with the Aussie dollar jumping the most in a decade and the local share market rising as well.
Yes, the most anticipated global economic announcement in years caught most by surprise. Rather than going hell for leather, the US central bank, the Fed Reserve, wants to lift interest rates, but not by as much as most investors thought. The announcement yesterday had immediate ramifications around the globe. The Aussie dollar jumped from close to 70 US cents to 72.5 US cents, though it still remains well below the level of about 76.5 US cents a month ago. The S&P ASX 200 also benefited. It finished the day up almost 1% to 7,365 points. It was a pretty strong session across the board, with technology stocks leading the way. That followed an incredible rise on Wall Street. All the major indices there were up around 3%. Other assets went too. Cryptos jumped about 7%. Brent crude jumped. It's trading around $110 a barrel. Even gold was higher. Big announcement, big ramifications as a result.
Yeah, sure was. Story number 2, Sean, National Australia Bank delivered a jump in cash profit yesterday to $3.5 billion and upped its dividend as well, which is great news for shareholders.
Yes, it was a pretty decent result. In fact, it was a record for its interim, which is the 6 months to the end of March, although the group's share price fell back yesterday. The 4% increase in profit compared to a 3% drop from ANZ the day before. The result was about what the market expected. Now, more than any of the other big banks, business lending really matters to National Australia Bank because it has the largest franchise in the country, and that's where it did really well. But its home lending business went backwards, and that's something management will want to turn around in a rising interest rate environment.
Sean, story number 3, of course, we need our daily election update. And Anthony Albanese faced up to a business audience yesterday at the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's not really his natural stomping ground.
Very true. The discussion unearthed more of Labor's views on business topics. Mr Albanese said the Australian economy is crying out for reform, but he's not up for major tax reform. He is up for a discussion on skilled migration and worker shortages, which is one of the biggest issues facing all businesses at the moment. He also killed off the party's pledge to pay super on government-funded parental leave. Now, earlier in the day, Mr Albanese appeared to forget details of Labor's National Disability Insurance Scheme policy. It wasn't a good look. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Scott Morrison said the government was getting intelligence advice about how to handle the deteriorating relationship with the Solomon Islands. It was in response to a spray by Solomon Islands Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare, who said the Pacific nation was, and I quote, being treated as kindergarten students walking around with Colt 45s in our hands. Incredible quote.
Yes, certainly is. Now, Sean, story number 4, I do get the feeling that you have included this one purely out of self-interest because I know you're trying to do some home renovations at the moment, and it seems that you and people like you might have a better chance now of finding a tradie.
Ah, yes, you're sort of right. I mean, that is right. What's happened, according to the Bureau of Statistics, the number of dwelling approvals fell in March by almost 20%. Now, that followed a big rise of 42% in February, so it wasn't totally unexpected. What dwelling approvals show council numbers on how many people are asking to, change their house, alter it, build new houses, that type of thing. We all know how hard it is to get a tradie at the moment. We all know how expensive it is to get a tradie at the moment. Also, how expensive it is to find raw materials, window, timber, that type of thing. So, if there's not as much demand, hopefully prices will come off. Slightly self-serving, Michael, I agree, because we are renovating. Still, a glimmer of hope for me.
Well, as long as you're happy. Sean, story number 5. Look, I like this story because if you're looking for signs that things are getting back to normal, I think this has to be a pretty good one because Airbus says that they're going to increase the production of their A320 aircraft.
Yes, by 50%. In fact, it'll be producing about 75 aircraft a month in 2025. The world's largest plane maker posted higher than expected quarterly earnings, and it said it was increasing output of the high-in-demand single-aisle models, that's the A320, because pandemic travel restrictions were disappearing. Business is flying. Pardon that one. Airbus seems to be the favoured airline manufacturer at the moment, ahead of US-based Boeing. Remember, earlier in the week, Qantas ordered 12 ultra-long-range Airbus 350 jets. The size of these contracts, Michael, are huge, tens of billions of dollars over many, many years.
All right, good one to finish on. That is the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 6th of May, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't quite enough for you, then you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.